Hello class, this is Professor McDonald. This is going to be a short tutorial on how to successfully extract data from the Uniform Crime Reporting Statistics website. This will be your first writing assignment. So what I thought I would do is just kind of walk you through some of the steps you need to do to get to the data that you want to look at. This is not difficult. Extracting the data is the easy part. The assignment calls for you to analyze the data, which is something that criminal justice professionals use. Uh, as you read in Chapter 2, uh, crime data is very, very important from not only for planning purposes, for social purposes, but also for leadership within criminal justice communities to see whether or not the programs and the strategies that they have in effect are working, and also it helps identify areas where they need to devote more resources to try to reduce crime in those areas or in those cities. So that's the main reason why I wanted to create this assignment, just kind of give you an idea of what data is out there. I think you'll find it interesting, and what I like about the assignment is I'm allowing you basically to pick the cities that you want. So let's look at this. Basically, you just have to go into Google or into your browser and type in ucrdatatool.gov, and you're going to come right to this website that I'm looking at. The data is good up through 2014, which is good enough for our purposes for the assignment. Now, when you come to this web page, you can read about it. It's got some information in there, and spend as much time as you want here. But the way I've set the assignment out, if you look at the document that you should download from Canvas, I'm going to walk you through. I've actually put the assignment into steps to get to the information. So let's walk through those steps. You've already come to this home page. So the first thing we're going to look is we're going to look at local law enforcement. That's for this assignment, which is if you go down, there's local law enforcement. I want you to select one agency, multiple variables. In other words, you're going to pick one police department, and then we're going to look at the data using multiple variables or things that impact the data. So we'll click on that. Let me get rid of this real quick. No thanks. Okay. Pick your state. For this assignment, as you can see, I'm allowing you to pick whatever state you want, or in whatever city you want. But for our purposes, I'm going to go to North Carolina here. Click on that. This gives you your population groups if you wanted to look at cities over 1 million, that sort of thing. But we're not going to do that. Just leave it on all, just the way it's highlighted here. Highlight all, and then click Next. If you make a mistake, you can always back up. Okay? And so if you look to the left here, choosing an agency, this has got all the agencies that provide data. Remember, I think our textbook mentions 18,000 law enforcement organizations that provide data to the Uniform Crime Report, which is maintained by the FBI. And if you scroll down, you'll see all the different agencies that are contributors that you can use for this assignment. For our purposes, let's pick a city that's local here. We'll go to Lumberton. We'll look at information for the Lumberton Police Department. Now, what I want you to do, you'll go over to the right here. There's different variable groups of information. I want you to highlight all these. We're going to look at number of violent crimes, number of property crimes, violent crime rates, and property crime rates. And I'll explain that again here in a minute. If you look down, it'll tell you what's included in these. Under violent crimes, we have murder, legacy rape, and revised rape. They've actually changed the rape definition, but I'm not going to dwell on that right now in this tutorial. Robbery, aggravated assault. For property crimes, we're going to be looking at burglary, larceny, theft, and motor vehicle theft. Notice we're not looking at arson. Now we're going to go over to Part C. We're going to choose the years. For this assignment, I want you to hit this drop down. We're going to look at year 2005 through 2014, which is the last year available in this database. That gives us a 10-year We're looking at a 10-year window of information for Lumberton Police Department with these variables. So we'll go over here, we'll get our table. All right, let me just scroll down. And these will be, again, crimes that are reported by the Lumberton Police Department. We have it, let me just go to the left here. As you can see, the year, 2005, and it takes you right down to 2014. They reported all 12 months. This gives you an indicator of the population in the city. Population pretty much has stayed pretty standard for that city. And so now we're going to get into some of our crime statistics. Now, in your report, what I don't want you to do is to just copy and paste this table into the report. I'm not interested in this. What I would recommend you do is download this report or copy and paste it and just have it available for you, because you're in the assignment, you're going to analyze the information we look at, but you're going to do it in a narrative format. In other words, you're going to, like you're writing a paper. What I would normally recommend you do, and I've given you an example in the assignment sheet, is you might say violent crimes. We're just looking at violent crime totals, and then under that you would make some you create some bullets, which are statements, complete sentences on what you see here. And we could say here, for example, in Lumberton, that violent crime stood at 200. There was a total of 281 reported violent crimes. That's total numbers here. On the left, number of offenses reported. We're looking at totals here. It's going to be different when we get over here. So, and within that violent crime totals, you have murder, legacy rape, revised rape, which they don't even include that here now, robbery, and aggravated assault. Okay, those numbers should add up to here. If they're off a little bit, it's because of this legacy. It's because of this revised rape figure. Don't try to match the numbers up, but it would be, you'd have aggravated assault 136, robberies 128, legacy rape 9, and you have murder or non-negligent manslaughter 8. Okay. So your job here is to look at this 10-year window and provide some analytical data. You could say that at its height in 2014, in particular, when I'm looking at this, that's the greatest number of murders reported occurred in that year. Another thing I'm noticing is it was at 8 in 2005, kind of went down, kind of bounces back and forth, dropped to a low in 2013 of 3, and then jumped back up to 11. Okay, let's look at robberies. Robberies are pretty consistent with a high in 2008 of 176, then they start coming down. So it looks like whatever they're doing with robberies, they're doing a good job. That's one side. Now, on the other side here is crime rates per 100,000 population. And this is where it's much easier because what they do is they take the actual crime rate itself, the total numbers, and they divide it by this 100,000 figure, okay? So in this way, you can actually compare a city like Lumberton with 21,000 people to a city like Raleigh with, I'm not even sure what the population, but let's say it's 500,000. You can compare cities, smaller cities with big cities when you use this figure. You can't do it with this figure because there's a lot less population, so you expect the numbers to be less. So to get to this, so let me jump over here. Let's look at these top. Let's jump over to crime rate per 100,000, divided into violent crime and property crime. So let's look at our violent crime rate. For murder, violent crime rate, there's your total. For every 100,000 people, 1,296.8 people, this is just theoretical, okay, could be impacted by a violent crime. So 1,296.8 people out of a crime rate of a population of 100,000. That's how they extrapolate it out for smaller cities. And if you go down, you'll analyze these statistics here, which kind of it looks like they jump up and down. Then we go over to violent crime here again. For murder, 36.9 is the murder rate in Lumberton. Just to give you some indication, I think if we look in our textbook, Nationwide, the murder rate's about 4.5 per 100,000 people. So this is a pretty high murder rate. And then rape, etc. I'm not going to explain all these figures. I'm just showing you how to get to this table, and then you'll do your own analysis. Those are your property crimes over here. You would expect the rate to be high for larceny, which is theft. Obviously, that's probably that is the most reported crime. Now, let me go back here. So to get to this table and download it, you just go up here, click on your spreadsheet of this table, and it'll download a point CSV file, which is a let me just put it in another window here. It's like an Excel spreadsheet, okay? And you can download and save this information to your computer. But this is the data you'll be working with. And I've given you a list of questions, okay, of what to answer. What crime trends do you see? What crime trends do you see both in the violent crime total and the property crime total, okay? On this side, number of offenses. And then you'll also be analyzing over here, crime rate per 100,000 population, okay? And then one of the questions I want you to do is I want you to find another city that interests you and pull that table down. Actually, I want you to pick 2 other cities. Pull those departments down. I say cities, I shouldn't say that. I mean police departments. Pull those departments down, and then you're going to compare here. I want you to pick a larger city. If you pick a small city to start with, then pick another larger city. It's up to you. But let's say we pick Charlotte, okay? We would then compare, not here, because that's strictly based on population. You're going to compare these rates over on this end. It's much easier because the crime rate per 100,000 population kind of evens things out, allows you to compare a smaller city to a larger city. Okay? And so you're done here. Now we can, to get out of this, pretty simple. Let's click on single agency. Takes us right back, okay, to where we were to start with. North Carolina. Let's say we want to pick another city now. Let's take Charlotte. This would be one of our comparison cities. Okay, we'll go with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. We'll highlight our crimes. If you notice, our years haven't changed. Let's get that table. Very good. Now, just real quick, all the information is the same, just you have a different population. Obviously, you looked at 21,000 with Lumberton. Now you're up to 856,000 with Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Here's what's interesting. Our murder rate in Lumberton was what, 36.6? In Charlotte, it's down to 5.5. So they've dropped their murder rate from 12.6 all the way down to 5.5. If I was using Charlotte for comparison purposes, analytically, that tells me whatever they're doing is working. Their rape is down. Their robbery rate is down. Pretty interesting what they've done here. So some of the things they're doing are working. So I don't want to give this away. This just gives you an indication of how you can do this assignment. If you have any questions, contact me. Don't wait till the day before this thing's due. Get working on this early. And I'm looking for some good analysis. Answer the questions that I've asked, and I'm sure you'll do quite well with this. And make sure you follow the writing preparation requirements that I listed in the assignment itself, which you'll download in Canvas. And that'll be the end of this dictation.